Death placed a feather on the scales of judgment. Then he reached into the old woman's chest and took out her still beating heart. He placed the heart on the other side of the scales. If the weights were equal, she would go to heaven and enjoy eternal life. Otherwise, she would be sent to hell. Learning this, the old woman panicked. She quickly began confessing all the bad things she had done in life. But Death paid her no attention. He focused intently on the scales until they stopped moving. Then he showed a satisfied smile. At that moment, the old woman finally breathed a sigh of relief. But she never expected that Death Anubis had come this time to repay a kindness. A few hours earlier, the old woman was cooking at home. Today was the day her son was coming to visit. She had specially prepared his favorite surströmming herring, but since her son rarely visited, she stored these items up high and needed a stool to reach them. Just then there was a knock at the door. Thinking it was her son, she opened it, but found a stranger, a black man. She thought he had the wrong floor, but the man said,
"You have died, Mrs. Fadil."
Hearing him say she was dead, Mrs. Fadil looked annoyed, but she didn't overreact. She simply told him where all the valuables in the house were.
I wish I was but a thief. I am not. I am of death. You are dead, Mrs. Fadil.
Hearing this, Mrs. Fadil was in disbelief. It wasn't until she saw her own body on the floor that she realized she was truly dead. It turned out that while she was reaching for the items earlier, she had lost her balance and fallen. Learning that her family would soon come to collect her body, she hurriedly straightened the clothes on her corpse. She didn't want her family to see her in a disgraceful state. But she had one more question. Why was the Egyptian god of death the one guiding her? It turned out Mrs. Fadil often heard stories about Egyptian deities from her grandmother as a child, and the stories featured Anubis. A deity's power comes from human belief. So Mrs. Fadil had unknowingly given Anubis much of his strength. That was why he came personally to guide her soul. He wanted to see what kind of person she truly was. With that, Death led Mrs. Fadil onto the stairway of judgment. They journeyed far and finally reached a desert. There they came upon a scale of judgment and began testing Mrs. Fadil's soul. Mrs. Fadil passed the test. The next step was to proceed to the gate of the underworld. Each gate led to a different world, meaning she could experience a different afterlife. But Mrs. Fadil was worried. She had been abused by her father as a child and didn't want to encounter him again after death. Hearing this, Death smiled slightly. He waved his hand and opened the middle gate. Mrs. Fadil walked through it slowly. That's all for today's movie story. Follow me for more to come.